You're watching Plain Speak with me, Toya Singh. On this show, we aim to look at the day's top stories through the lens of just the facts. Our first story tonight focuses on comments the Prime Minister made earlier in the day today at Sikar in Rajasthan, a poor-bound state, remember. Now, in these comments, he reiterated a jibe he's made before against the Opposition Alliance's 2024 banding, the INDIA name. He reiterated his East India jibe about them. He also equated the opposition with SIMI, the Students' Islamic Movement of India, a banned terror outfit. He claimed that just by rebranding an alliance, you can't hide the past. You can't hide the record that alliance holds. Now, a few minutes after that, he also attacked the Rajasthan government that is, you might remember, led by the Congress's Ashok Gehlot. He targeted them over a recent controversy, that of the Red Diary, and we'll take a deeper dive just to remind you about what that's about. He also targeted them on their record of corruption and women's safety. Now, the Congress has called these attacks by the Prime Minister a diversionary tactic from all of the happenings in the Parliament, where, remember, the BJP is going to have to answer to a no-confidence motion in just a few days from now. The big question we're looking at tonight is, will these attacks by the BJP be enough to win first the Rajasthan Assembly polls and then the 2024 challenge? Or has the opposition finally hit their stride? Let's take a deeper look, first by taking a look at what it is that the Prime Minister had to say. We're going to play it out for you in the screen next to me in just a second. But first, let's just take a quick look at a summary. Number one, as we just told you, SIMI, East India Company, have India in their name. This is a version of something that the Prime Minister and other leaders have said before in the last few days after the INDIA name came out. The second thing he said, as I shared with you, that this rebranded INDIA is to hide the UPA's past. Number three, he said that we need a quit India. Again, he's played that double entendre of INDIA and India movement. He said we need a quit India movement against corruption. Number four, he said crime against women is on a rise in Rajasthan. He's also said the Red Diary, and this is the controversy we talked about. We'll just touch on it in a second from now to remind you about it. He said the Red Diary is a project of the Congress's Loot Jhoot Ki Dukaan. We'll talk about that in a second. He's also said the Red Diary will reveal the Congress's black deeds. Now, soon after this set of comments that, as we told you, were made early in the day today, you had the Rajasthan Chief Minister, Ashok Gehlot, as expected, respond to what it is the Prime Minister had to say. He said that the statements by the Prime Minister highlight the Prime Minister's desperateness. We'll take a deeper dive into this response and the response that has been coming in from other opposition members. He's also said that the Prime Minister is levelling baseless allegations in a panicked manner. He's even said that the Red Diary controversy is a fabricated story by the BJP. He said that the centre has authority over all agencies. So if they are so concerned about this Red Diary, why don't they investigate it? He's also suggested to the Prime Minister to talk about the red cylinders and the red tomatoes. That's, of course, a reference to the rise in the price of tomatoes that is affecting consumers across the country right now. Let's take a look. This is what we're taking a look at today. The comments made by the Prime Minister in regards to Rajasthan. Will quit INDIA actually resonate? That's the question. Take a look now at what the Prime Minister had to say.
आपको याद होगा कि कांग्रेस के शासनकाल में सिमी यानी स्टूडेंट इस्लामिक मूवमेंट ऑफ इंडिया बना था। नाम में इंडिया था, लेकिन मिशन इंडिया को आतंकी हमलों से बर्बाद करने का था। जब इसके कुकर्म सामने आए तो सीमी पे बैन किया गया और ये बैन हुआ तो फिर नया नाम लेकर आए। उन्होंने भी नाम बदला, पीएफआई। सीमी बन गया पीएफआई, यानी पॉपुलर फ्रंट ऑफ इंडिया। नाम नया, नाम में फिर इंडिया, लेकिन काम वही पुराना। आज हम समृद्ध भारत बनाने का संकल्प लेकर चले, जैसे गांधी जी ने क्विट इंडिया का मंत्र दिया था, वैसे ही आज का मंत्र है भ्रष्टाचार क्विट इंडिया, भ्रष्टाचार छोड़ो इंडिया, परिवारवाद क्विट इंडिया, परिवारवाद छोड़ो इंडिया। क्विट इंडिया ही देश को बचाएगा और देश को विकसित भारत बनाएगा। आपने लाल डायरी के बारे में सुना है ना? कहते हैं इस लाल डायरी में कांग्रेस सरकार के काले कारनामे दर्ज है। लोग कह रहे हैं कि लाल डायरी के पन्ने खुले तो अच्छे अच्छे निपट जाएंगे। कांग्रेस के बड़े से बड़े नेताओं की इस लाल डायरी का नाम सुनते ही बोलती बंद हो रही है। कांग्रेस ने राजस्थान में सरकार चलाने के नाम पर सिर्फ लूट की दुकान चलाई है, झूठ का बाजार सजाया है। कांग्रेस का मतलब ही है लूट की दुकान, झूठ का बाजार।
All right, this evening to have this conversation with us, we have Shehzad Poonawala from the BJP is with us in the studio this evening. We also have Sujata Paul. She's with us. She's a Congress spokesperson. We have Pradeep Bhatti, a Samajwadi Party spokesperson, and R.K. Upadhyay, a senior journalist. Now, we're going to go to each of these panelists. Shehzad, I'm actually going to come over to you first. What I'm going to look to understand from you, Shehzad, in just a second from now, is that we're going to first focus on the INDIA attack and then the Rajasthan question. So, Shehzad, just to start off, by coming to you with the attacks that have come in from the opposition, yesterday, today, we've seen the opposition again and again say that by attacking the opposition alliance on just their name, it's a sign that the Prime Minister has lost out on actual material to attack the opposition on. What is the BJP's response to this?
Quite contrary to that, what we are saying is that just by taking a new label, you don't change the product. For instance, if some ragtag channel says that I am CNN News 18, will it be the quality of CNN News 18? No, it will not. Similarly, just by putting I.N.D.I.A, it does not mean that you are pro-India in your stand. And therefore, what is important is not name but character, because India is there in SIMI also. It is there when SIMI was banned, it was there in PFI also. Now, both those organizations, they have India in their name, but does that mean that they work for India? And I'll ask some specific questions. Yesterday, CNN News 18 reported a very important story. The Indian Union Muslim League Youth Wing sloganeered against Hindus, saying that we will hang them and kill them. Cases have been booked. This IUML is part of the so-called formation with the India acronym. What statement have you seen from Rahul Gandhi, who called IUML secular? Lalu and Mulayam Singh Yadav had said SIMI is actually an organization that works for the youth and should not be banned. The Samajwadi Party manifesto had said that they would release terrorists because they belong to Muslim community. In fact, they started releasing terrorists and the courts had to intervene and say don't do it. The Congress Party Minister Aslam Sheikh had batted for Yaqub Memon. Is this pro-India or anti-India? 2611 was blamed on India, not on Pakistan, by Digvijay Singh. Surgical strike, Balakot airstrike was questioned by Congress Party. They called it Khoon Ki Dalali. They in fact went to the extent of even saying that in Galwan 2 our martyrs did not show any bravery. So I want to ask you that those who demand intervention in India from foreign land, is that pro-India or anti-India? That is the question. Forget everything else. Article 370, entire country of India is supporting its abrogation, including Aam Aadmi Party, by the way, who's part of them. What is the stand of Congress on Article 370's abrogation? They want 370 to be reimposed. Digvijay Singh said that to a Pakistani journalist. Samajwadi Party is on record against it. So please tell us, what is your character? Forget the name. What is in a name?
Okay. Shehzad, thank you for starting out. To both the Congress and the Samajwadi Party, we're going to go over to each of you. We have enough time today. Sujata, I want to come to you first so that you can respond to each of these points. I'll then go over to the Samajwadi Party spokesperson who's also with us today.
The BJP spokesman doesn't really have anything much to say, but I will go to what the Prime Minister has said. Because attacking India has become a habit of the BJP RSS combine. And it is so true that when the Prime Minister says what's in a name, he's only showing his own character, own charitra, the charitra of BJP RSS. How? When you talk about Bharatiya Janata Party, these people have no Bharatiyata. They are the RSS Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh, have no Rashtriyata. And then they talk about being Rashtravadi, they have no Rashtavad in them. They talk about being Hindu nationalists, they are neither Hindus, people who live this side of the Sindhu, and that's why they were called Hindus. And they are neither nationalists, like I have explained to you. But when the Prime Minister talks about quit India, of course, this is present in his psyche. Because when the 1942 Quit India movement took place, Shyama Prasad Mukherjee wrote to the then governor of Bengal asking him to crush the Congress's Quit India movement. And of course, these people are coming from the Pittus, and I am using the word Pittu so that more people can understand, the Pittus of the British, because they came, they did nothing, and all they did was enjoy during the British rule. And then they are the ones who had the accusation of assassinating Mahatma Gandhi, Veer Savarkar, Golwalkar. All of them were put into jail by Sardar Patel, no less. Of course, the allegations could not be proved because of lack of evidence, and they were let off. But Nathuram Godse did disown, and therefore this Quit India movement, which they wanted to crush, today they want to quit India again. And this is the reason why the Prime Minister is saying it. Because Maharaja Modi is very wealthy. He has the ED, CBI, IT, but he is making the country bleed. Because M for Maharaja and M for Modi, but he will not say the M for Manipur, the real issues which are plaguing the country, the real issues which are troubling the country. And if you notice, it's all a negative narrative this time, and they are trying to build on that because they have no issues to speak about. So it is a hara hua, a person who is frustrated, desperate, who has gone to Rajasthan and come up with this narrative. But let it be so. The people of Rajasthan know who to vote for. They speak about the 5 lakh insurance that they give for medical, of course. But the Rajasthan government has given 25 lakhs in insurance. The Rajasthan government gave the cylinder for 500 rupees to women who were in dire straits after their Ujjwala Yojana failed, because the cylinder went up to 1100, 1200 rupees. So the schemes which the government of Rajasthan has brought has put Mr. Modi on the back foot, and it is a negative narrative that he's built.
Okay, Ms. Paul, just stay with us. I now want to give the Samajwadi Party spokesperson Pradeep Bhatti, who's with us, a chance to speak. Shahzad, will then come back to you to your response to each of these leaders. Mr. Upadhyay, you'll have to wait just a second. Pradeep Bhatti, do go ahead.
Thank you and good evening to all. Firstly, the Prime Ministership is an institution, and its dignity and prestige should be maintained. Unfortunately, Honorable Prime Minister has not come out of his misinformation, misleading, full of lies, jumlas mindset. As you are discussing today's event, how can you miss the great lie of Honorable Prime Minister got exposed today, where he lies about opening IIT IIMs every year in America? And the reality is that yesterday, in the answer to in the Parliament, not a single IIT IIM opened in the last 5 years. Do you expect a party, a compulsive liar, and his head to speak truth about his opponents or opposition parties? So what will a leader speak when this ground getting hollow and failed flapping endeavors getting exposed? So I'll say that Khisyani Juban mein आप क्या expect कर सकते हैं? Even in the worst possible, whatever is Prime Minister is saying today about his opposition parties, which ideally in democracies it has to be respected. Even in the worst possible time, after the death of Honorable Mahatma Gandhiji's murder, affiliations, the murderer's affiliation and association, organization, and his political arm, it was very crystal clear. But the then Prime Minister at that time did not even name that opponent political party. And now you see what the level Prime Minister Modi has bring the opposition parties, and how he's blaming them. So it's very well understood the PM's desperation, and the PM wants to keep people of this country entangled in frivolous issues. When PM will be speak about the rocket issue, rocket high price rise, when will Prime Minister of this country will speak about the petrol, gas, diesel price, tomato price, cooking oil price, and other necessities? When he will be talking about the issues related to farmers, employment, unemployment, 10 crores they are supposed to give. What about the black money in 100 days, where it has gone? What about the poor and deprived people? 80 crore people are getting free ration.
Mr.
So I
Bhatti,
request the Prime Minister, just a last line, I request the Honorable Prime Minister, enough of diversion tactics. Please come to the basic. Whatever you have promised in the manifesto, 90% of the promises are falling apart. So please come to the basics. Don't divert the things, and let the country know what you have done in these 5 years. Don't just crib and curse or abuse the opposition party. That's not going to help the poor people of this country.
Mr. Bhatti, just stay with us. I now want to go back to Shehzad, because I do want to go back to R.K. Upadhyay, who's also with us ultimately. I do want to leave time for that. Shehzad, you've heard both from the Congress and from the Samajwadi Party. The Samajwadi Party bringing up themes that we know 2024 is going to be led by: the theme of price rise, the common citizen, and how they're affected. Shehzad, do respond. These were a number of different points.
Yeah, there were a lot of different points, and because you asked me to start from the issues that Samajwadi Party flagged, I'll start from those, but let me complete all of them. Let's talk about the farmers. In 10 days, Rajasthan had promised, government had promised that they would take away all the loans of Rajasthan farmers. 19,400 farmers lost their lands. Rahul Gandhi's promise was betrayed. You know what a litre of petrol costs in Rajasthan, Toya? 108 rupees. Bagal mein Gujarat hai, it costs 96 rupees. Because one of the highest VAT rates in petrol and diesel is in Rajasthan. And so is the electricity rates. By the way, price rise, when it comes to that, 6 rupees has been increased on diesel in Himachal Pradesh ever since the Congress government came there. They said that they would give 300 units free. They increased 22 paise tariff on the electricity units there as well. Today is the lowest inflation rate. You must have seen the CPI figures. It's 4.25%. The UPA gave us 10% plus inflation, and you would remember that also. Now let's go on to something else which Madam, the Congress spokesperson has spoken about: Quit India and the role of the Quit India, BJP, the RSS, etc. and Quit India. If the RSS is such an anti-national organization, do you know who Pranab Mukherjee was? He was a staunch congressman and a former president. I did not interrupt anybody, and I don't think Toya conducts it that way. May I complete?
Go ahead, Mr.
Toya, was President Pranab Mukherjee Deshdrohi? He went to the headquarters of RSS, and the RSS has been praised by Mahatma Gandhi himself, by Ambedkarji also. These are historical facts. But since they spoke about Quit India, can the honorable spokesperson of Congress Party tell me who founded the Congress Party, and in 1885, who was the president in 1888, 1889, 1894? She might not want to tell me, because it was George Yule, William Wedderburn and Alfred Webb, all serving officers and MPs in the British government or in the British Parliament. Imagine how they were fighting the British. I can only imagine that you are fighting the British and you are taking their MPs as party presidents. Great. Anyways, let's talk about Rajasthan again. Forget everybody else. This is the red diary that Rajendra Guda wanted to table in the House. You are the bastion of free speech, no madam? Why didn't you allow this red diary to be tabled in the House, in the Assembly in Rajasthan? And when he spoke about women's issues, you promptly removed him from the ministry. You know what is there in this red diary, madam? 15 papers have been leaked in Rajasthan. And do you know who's defending the paper leak mafia? Let me show you the last person who was caught in this paper leak mafia. He's a guy called Gopal Kesawat, who happens to be hobnobbing with Rahul Gandhi. Let me also show you another person, Mr. Dhaka, who's the mastermind of this scam. And he has not been caught by Rajasthan police, but you know who's going and defending him? Salman Khurshid. So, madam, why don't you answer? Why is the highest unemployment rate in Rajasthan above 20% for the last 1 year? And if you see Uttar Pradesh, it's less than 4%, Assam less than 4%, Gujarat less than 4%.
Shehzad,
let's talk about the farmers. Let's talk about the prices of Rajasthan.
Only because we do need to go over to our fourth panelist. Sujata, I'm so sorry. I do need to keep you waiting. Mr. Upadhyay, you've been waiting with us through the start of this entire discussion. And I want to come to you, sir, to ask you now about which issues, because we've discussed a number of them. Which issues do you think are resonating on the ground? Let's talk just about Rajasthan, where a few days ago we saw this red diary controversy play out. For our audiences, the red diary controversy was one in which you had an MLA in the Rajasthan government saying that he had a red diary that had a record of all of the misdeeds of the Gehlot government. Now, Gehlot, as we just said, came out today and said, investigate me if you need to. The Congress is saying it's all rubbish, frankly. But R.K. Upadhyay, is this an issue you think is resonating on the ground?
Well, I think that is what the Rajasthan government wants to come out with. But I think the Prime Minister has, set the agenda now. See, yesterday I was watching what was happening in Parliament and as well as the evening function. You see, after stalling the Parliament for one whole week on the Manipur issue, the opposition finally brought out the no confidence motion. Though there has been no, agreement among all of them, they have come out with that. And in the evening, the Prime Minister's body language looked like, he was in a combative mood. I mean, he seemed to be very ebullient and came out with all gun blazing. And he did, I think, wanted to convey that whatever you might do or whatever you want to do, 2024, I'm going to win this election. That was the message he, very bluntly told. And I think it was meant to the opposition leaders, who have been stalling the Parliament for the one whole week. And you look at the message that he is conveying, and he has just come back from the US visit, where over 50 CEOs and the heads of various companies have made firm commitment towards investment in India. What does it show? It shows that they believe that the Prime Minister will come back to power in 2024. So this being the case, I don't know what the opposition is trying to do. I mean, they haven't even given out what their agenda is. So they've only given a title called India. I mean, bombastically named as INDIA. Now, what does it stand for? What are their agenda for the next, election? I mean, on what issues they're going to come together? Who is going to be their prime ministerial candidate? How are they going to share the seats in different states? These are all questions, and more questions. And I think unless they resolve this and come out with, concrete plan and present it to the people, I don't think the people will, respond positively to this conglomerate.
Okay, Mr. Upadhyay, stay with us. And I want to go over to Sujata Paul. Sujata, you've wanted to reply since Shehzad spoke, but I'd actually also like if you could address some of what it is that R.K. Upadhyay has said in his statement, where he said that what is exactly the agenda of the INDIA doesn't seem clear.
Yes. Before that, I would like to respond to what Shehzad was saying. But of course, there is one suggestion, and it's a very positive suggestion in spite of your negative campaign program. The very wealthy Maharaja Modi has the EDI, the CBI, the IT as his resources. Of course, I'm keeping aside the cronies for this for the moment, but he could use the authority of the Sengol and unleash the ED, CBI, IT on this gentleman called Mr. Rajendra Singh Buda and get that red diary. It will expose everything because it's an important evidence. The fact is, Toya, they are not going to do it because this is something that they have created, because Mr. Rajendra Singh Buda had come from the BSP to the Congress when he won elections in 2008 also and in 2018. So the fact of the matter is that this red diary, if it really has something, and he's talking about huge payoffs, and he had also mentioned at one point of time that Amit Shah was trying to bring the Rajasthan government down. It's all over the internet. So this red diary really does need to be, obtained from him. Why is the ED not going after him, the CBI, the IT? Also, the moment that happens, it will expose the black deeds of the NDA. And NDA, why do I say NDA? Because it is a no development India that these people want to give, a no development alliance, non-democratic alliance. But coming to what Mr. Upadhyay was saying, very interesting. Yes, you're talking about the agenda and the Prime Minister's visit to the United States, where he addressed the joint session of the US Congress, but he can't address his own parliament here. He got the EU parliamentarians to go visit Kashmir when 370 was imposed over there. But he did not allow his own parliamentarians to go there. Until today, Kashmir does not have its own government. You have nothing to say about that. But of course, you will blame the the opposition for stalling parliament. The fact is that the people of Manipur are waiting for answers from their prime minister. And we waited. We tried to get him on board, but he refuses to answer the M of Manipur or to the people of Manipur, in spite of the fact that he is the M of Maharaja and M of Modi.
Okay,
he
Ms. Paul,
refuses to be
I want to
answerable and
ask you a
accountable
quick
to the
counter
people of
question.
Manipur or
Ms.
India.
Paul, I want to ask you a quick counter question here because I do think that it is necessary to address this. Why hasn't the Congress yet taken action to remove Kuda, who's right at the center of this, the Rajasthan MLA who brought these charges? Why haven't they just removed him from the Congress yet?
You know, again, we are giving a chance to the central agencies to go after him, like I said. They should do that because in our party, we always do things as per procedure. We don't just jump because there's a procedure. And what is happening within the party, that is something that stays within the party. But at the end of it, you will come to know what we are doing with Mr. Rajendra Singh Kuda. But tell me, is that evidence not necessary? Because Mr. Prime Minister can easily use it during his election rallies. But he refuses to do it. But he stands against India, and that is why this red diary really doesn't matter, because it's all, a figment which has been created by the BJP.
Okay. All right, ma'am. Thank you for bringing us your perspective. I now want to go back to Shehzad Poonawala for closing comments on this entire conversation. Shehzad, we've seen the line that the Prime Minister took in his comments.
Ma'am.
All right, I'm not sure quite who addressed me right now. Shehzad, I'm going to come back to you to ask you here for closing comments on this entire story. We know that the Prime Minister has led by saying INDIA. We've heard his comparisons of the INDIA to various terror outfits. Is this the line we're going to continue to hear him take right up till 2024? Is the name of the alliance the primary area he's going to tackle them in?
No, again, Toya, I opened by saying that the Prime Minister didn't say RSS is like Muslim Brotherhood like Rahul Gandhi had said, or Hindutva is like ISIS and Boko Haram like Salman Khurshid had written in his book. Prime Minister stated a fact and he said Charitra is more important than the name. I asked 3 or 4 questions about the Charitra on various issues of terror and 370. None of those were answered, and I think the audiences can understand. She keeps saying Maharaja Modi. By the way, the only time India was compared to a person was India is Indira by Devkant Barua, who was the Congress party president, and it was never taken back officially by the Congress. And I'm sorry that, people of Tamil Nadu had to see the insult heaped on the Sengol. I understand people hate Indian culture and Tamil culture, but I'm particularly sorry for Mr. Upadhyay, who also had to face that the Sengol was dragged in. Now she spoke about the ED going after Mr. Rajendra Kuda. I am glad at least Sujata today is saying that the ED is credible. So from tomorrow onwards, when the action will be taken by these agencies, they should not say that these agencies have no credibility, because the official Congress spokesperson has said that the ED does a great job. Central agencies should go after those who have spoken about corruption. By the way, Rajendra Kuda's entire statement, which CNN News18 carried, said that the diary was torn, so the pages are with Gehlot's henchmen. So we should actually take cognizance of where the pages are. And thank you for accepting that the ED and CBI do a fantastic job. Thank you,
and Mr. Poonawala, let me come to you with one last counter question. We've heard the Prime Minister and a number of other BJP leaders, when we talk about the situation in Manipur, talk about the situation in Rajasthan. They've talked about women's safety. And they've talked about the issue. They've talked about the issue of Rajasthan. They've talked about the issue of Chhattisgarh. I want to understand from you, Shehzad, when you take a deeper look at the numbers, yes, Rajasthan is number 1, specifically when you take a look at rapes, but number 2, number 3 and number 4 are all BJP-ruled states. You've got Uttar Pradesh, you've got Madhya Pradesh. These are states that are BJP-ruled states. What is the BJP's answer to that, Shehzad?
Absolutely. And therefore, in Parliament, which is the temple of democracy of India, and they keep their name as I.N.D.I.A, and they say it's Union of States, then why should we divide women across state lines? Let there be discussion on Uttar Pradesh, let there be discussion on Madhya Pradesh, let there be discussion on Rajasthan, let there be discussion on Manipur. Who is dividing women of India and their issues across state lines? And secondly, do they ever want to have a charcha on this? In Rajasthan, the Rajasthan Assembly, the Minister of Rajasthan government wanted to speak on the issues of Rajasthan women. He was sacked immediately. Now, has there been any situation in any other state where a minister is getting up in the assembly and saying that, my God, what is happening in my state? You tell me any other precedent in the states that has taken place. So therefore, we should discuss all the issues in Parliament, but they have run away and they have now gone for no confidence motion, which means it was never about Manipur, M for Manipur. It was M for Modi, M for
Maharaja.
hatred for Modi.
M for Mehngai and M for Mazdoor.
Sir, I just spoke to
All
you
right.
about that, sir.
I'd like to thank the Congress, the Samajwadi Party, the BJP, and of course, Mr. Upadhyay for joining us. It is time for a short break. On the other side, in just a few minutes, more of the country's top stories. This is, of course, Plain Speak. We'll take a look at our next story in just a second from now. But right before we let you go, coming after this short break, a political storm erupted after a girl was filmed at a medical college. This is down south in the coastal town of Udupi. But has the politics undermined the truth? That's the question we're taking a look at in just a few minutes, right here on Plain Speak.